All right. Welcome back, everyone, to SirAntwi Education channel. Please don't forget to subscribe for me if you have not done so. And thank you to all those who have contributed in making this channel grow. Right. Today we are going to take a look at spreadsheet checklist for grade 11, and then also database as well as HTML. We will focus on previous question papers, that is last year question paper, November 2024 and 2023. And if possible, we will also look at 2019. We will be comparing based on our checklist. Right. Now, without wasting much time, I'm going to start, but I would like to find out if everybody can see my screen. If you can see my screen, don't forget to include it in the comment section, and then I'll be able to start. If you can see the screen and also hear my voice, then I will start right away. Right, now let's start with the first aspect, which is sheet management. That is how to rename the worksheet, the tab color, and then move worksheet. Then we will also look at merge and center, applying shading, that is filling, gradient fill, and then pattern style. Then orientation, row height, column width, free space, and then autofill. Then lastly, we will look at data validation and then also subtotal. These are the spreadsheet features. Then when we are done, we will move straight to and then conditional formatting, which is also spreadsheet feature. Then from there, we will move straight to calculations. Right, without wasting much time, I'm going to pick the 2024 question paper. Now, it says we must open 3 dam spreadsheet containing the information about the dams in South Africa. I shared the link with you also, so you can also open it. If you go to that Google Drive, you will find out that it says grade 11 papers. Inside the grade 11 document, you are going to find grade 11 practical. So inside this one, you see all the files that I used yesterday and then also today. So today I'm going to focus on 2024 and 2023. If we have time, we will also look at grade 11 Excel videos also and then database videos. Right. So I'll open the 3dam spreadsheet. Now the question says, work in the dam worksheet. This is the dam worksheet. Now, when we talk about the sheet management, that is renaming, let's say this dam worksheet, I want to change the name. You double click and then you can type the name. Let's say I want to make it as dams. Again, you can also modify the sheet tab by right clicking and then you choose tab color. They can ask you to change the tab color also. Again, regarding the sheet tab, you can also be asked to move or copy. Let's say we want to move this particular dam to the last one. So you go to move and then you say move to end. Then you click OK. So that it will be at the end. Now, again, like this worksheet, I can also move it to a new worksheet. Let's say I have sheet 1, and then I want to move this one to a new worksheet. You right click and then you see move or copy. And then to workbook, you choose new workbook. Then OK. So that it's going to create its own workbook, which you can be given a question to also save it with a new name. So that's how we move one worksheet to another workbook. Right. Then the next question says, change the formatting of cell A2 to display the column title the same cell as the other column titles. Now, this question wants us to display the titles as the same. So we move to A2. Here is A2. Now you can see that A2 is centered vertically and horizontally. Now, when you look at these ones also, they are centered vertically and horizontally, and then they also apply wrap text. They wrap the text. That is why you see that each of them are fully visible. Now, for you to make them to be the same, there are two ways. You can click on the existing one, then you click on Format Painter, then you come and click on this one so that it will be the same as other cells. Alternatively, you can just check and then you look at how it was formatted, then you come and also format it the same way, which takes a lot of time. Right. Now change the format of the date in column E to date format 4Y, 2M, and then 2D. Now column E, the question says we might change the date format. So we select all the dates in column E, and then you right click, then you choose format cell. Alternatively, after selecting, you can easily go to search and then you type format cell. Now, to change it or to modify, you go to custom. You don't choose date, you go to custom. Then you type it as the question has been given to you. Now, according to the question, it should be 4Y and then 2M, then followed by 2D, like as you see here. Right. They can even ask you to change it to a specific format. Let's say 4Y with dash 4D. When you put D in 4 of them, that means you want the day to be written in full, like Thursday, Monday, and others. And then if you put 2D, that means to be like 16th. And then also 3M will be maybe September, SEP. Now, if you put 4M, it will be written in full. So take note of that and okay. Now, the question wanted us to pick a particular formatting style. Right. Now, 3.3, correct the heading of column G to display as follows. Now, you can see that the surface and this one are together like this one here. They say you must correct it. That means it was taken up. This one's here was taken up, which is the, let's check. So the font group, it was taken up, that was superscript. So you have to select the raised to the power 2, and then you go to font group, and then you change it to superscript. Then again, this one also, you select it, go to font group, and then you choose superscript. Right. And then the next question, this is function. We are not going to deal with function right now. We will come to functions later. Now, let's also look at 2023 question paper, changing the formatting. So I'm going to open 2023 question paper also. Three concepts. Right, again, it says you must work in the summary worksheet and then make the following changes. Change the row height of the first row to 25. So we go to the summary worksheet, and in the first row, the question says we have to change the row height to 25. So you right click and choose row height, then you type 25. Again, center, align the learner's grade in column A. Now, these are the learner's grades in column A. So now the question says we have to center them. You select all of them. Now to center, you see this one. This is horizontal center, and that's vertical center. So sometimes they can tell you to center horizontally and vertically, meaning that you click on this one and then the one on top also. Alternatively, you can also right click or you go to the alignment, that arrow there, then you choose center horizontally and then vertically. Right. They can also ask you to distribute. Now, let's say the horizontal center, we have also distribute indent. Then you choose the indent that you are distributing, maybe by 1 centimeter. And then again, it says change the currency symbol of the amount in column H to rand. So this is column H, and we need to change this one to rand symbol. Also, you go to currency, you can go to number format, and the currency, you have the dollars, then you change it to rand symbol. I think it should be the first one, and then okay. They can also ask you to change the number of decimal place, like to 2 decimal place, then you change it also here. Right, now format cell D2 up to G4 to appear as you can see below. Now merge and center D2 to F2, and then also wrap text for G2. So merge and center from here up until that side. You select, and then you can use the search to type merge and center, or you can also get merge and center from the alignment group. Here is it. So if in examination you don't know where to find merge and center, you can also use the search and then you type merge and center. Now let's move on to the next one. It's a wrap text in column G. This is G, so we have to wrap text. Wrap text is this one, the one on top. Right. And then we will also look at other formatting, which we don't find any of them here. The rest are only calculation, which we will come there. Now, let's check question 4 from 2024 also. Now, it says change the heading of C1 to display over the cell range, that one up to that. That means you have to also merge and center. You have to merge and center. If it says it should be over, that means merge and center. So let's also look at that one. It's also 2024 for question 4. So this one, they said it should cover all display. That means merge and center. Then you merge and then you center them. Now, I want to also show you this, whereby they can ask you to change the alignment. Now, let's say we want to change this one, this alignment. You see orientation from the alignment. You see orientation. If you don't know where to find it, you can as well type orientation, and then you can change it, rotate up and others. Now, when you go here, we have angle counterclockwise. We also have angle clockwise, and then we have vertical or rotate text up, and then we have rotate text down. If you don't see the particular alignment that the question is asking, then you go to format cell alignment. Then you can now change the orientation to a specific degrees. Right. So you must watch out for that type of question also, orientation. Now, we move on to the next one called free span. Free span, let's say we want to lock row 1 and row 2 so that from row 3, When you scroll down, only 1 and 2 will be visible. And we call it freeze pane. Now to deal with freeze pane, let's say we want to only lock 1 and 2. So we move to the next row, which is row 3. You click on it, and then you can find freeze pane from view, or alternatively, you can search and type freeze pane. Then you choose freeze pane, so that when you scroll down, 1 and 2 will be locked up like you see here. That is the power of freeze pane. It is not only the rows, we can also lock the column. Let's say I want column A and B to be locked. I will select column C and then also type freeze pane. Let me unfreeze first. Then you type freeze pane, so that when I scroll to the right, 1 A and B will always be visible. Right, so we can freeze the row or you can freeze the column also. So you need to take note of that. Right. Now, 4.2, insert a comment in column B for the dam in Limpopo. The comment must be project on hold. So column B, now for Limpopo, they say we must insert a comment for Limpopo. So we have to just go to comment, which you can get from insert, and then you see comment. Or alternatively, you can just type comment and then give insert comment. Then you can now type the comment here. Project on hold. Right, so that's how we insert comment. Right, I think that is all. Okay, there's also another one, which is formatting 4.4, and it says apply the following layout option to the worksheet. Set the print area to print only range A1 up until G14. So we want to print only A1 to G14. So here's A1 up until G14. You select and then you go to page layout, then you see print area, then you click on set. Alternatively, you can just go to search. After selecting, then you type print area, then you go to set print area, so that when you print, only that area will be printed, not other areas. Again, they can ask you to also reduce the scale and also print the grid lines or print the heading. So you take that one also, so that the grid lines will be there and the headings A and B and others will also be visible. They can also ask you to print only maybe row 2 to remain on top. So that one, you go to what we call the this arrow here, you go there under the print or the page setup, then you will see sheet, and then you will find something that's a rows to repeat at the top. You click there and then you select the row that you wanted to repeat at the top. Let's say row 2, then you go back and then you preview to see. So you realize that that row will always be on top of the pages. Right, so that's how we set rows to repeat on top. So you must watch out for that type of question also. Now change the orientation of the page to landscape. So you go to orientation, which you can get it from page layout, and then choose orientation landscape. Next question, set the scaling of the document to ensure that all the columns will be visible on one page. Now we want everything to be visible on one page. Now you can see it is here. So we have to reduce the scale. It is 100%. Now as you reduce it, you will see where that print area is. 85 is still not yet. Now when I go to 80, it's still not yet. I think 75 will be fine. So when you preview, so that all the columns will be visible on one page. Right, you can also fit it to page. You click on this arrow and then you say fit to one page. Fit to one page and then you click OK. Right, so you can do that as well. Now, let's move on to the next question. Display all the rows and column headings when printed. We already did it. You take column or the headings to be printed. You take that one. And then activate the draft mode quality print option. So here we want the draft mode when we print it to be in the econo mode or draft mode. And that one, you can go to the page setup or the printing. You will see that one there. And then the print quality, it says 600 dp. That's the quality it has picked already. Now, when you want to print, when you go to print preview or you go to print, then you can now see the page setup with the other options. You now go to the page setup and then you see the draft mode. No, the print properties, not page setup, print properties, and then you see the draft mode. Now, because here it's only showing, it's not selected, the printer is not selected, it's always going to give problem. It's always going to give problem because when you go that side, you will not find the draft mode. The sheet properties, you will see the graph here is here under the sheet. You will find the draft quality. And then the gray line to be displayed as well as the black and then white. If you want it to be printed in black and white, you choose black and white also. Then again, they can also give you a question, page order. That's down, then over, or over, then down. That is how you want the page to be ordered. You can also pick that one from that side. And if you want to print the comment and then also the notes, you can also display it maybe at the end of the sheet. The comment should also be displayed. Right. So the page setup, watch out for this, for the page, whereby they can ask you questions to change all these options or margins or the header if they wanted to insert something in the header section so that you can insert something. And then the sheet, if you want to print, set the print area, and then the rows and column to repeat, you have to also select them from here. And then the print quality also. Right. So that is all about the printing and then the page setup. Now, we will come to chat later. Still under the spreadsheet features, we can also have autofill. Let's say they want you to number from 1 up until 10, 1, and then you autofill. You just double click, then you select autofill option, fill series, so that you number 1, 2, 3 up until the last one. Right. So basically, these are the formatting and then the basic thing that you need to know regarding spreadsheet, how to format them. Now let's move to conditional formatting. There is a question there regarding conditional formatting. In grade 11, you have to know the basic conditional formatting. The basic conditional formatting. And I think there is one conditional formatting here, which is 3.8. Use conditional formatting to format 15 oldest dams in column E with a red font. So you select column E. They said, let's check the question again because you see column E has date. 15 oldest. So now you go to conditional formatting and then you go to new rule. Now, when you are talking about oldest or the biggest, we can use only the top or bottom rank values. And now we want oldest, so the 15 of them, not the 10. So here we cannot use top. If you say top with the 8, the top, that's the biggest values, which will be the youngest. So here we choose the bottom, and then you go to format, then we fill it. According to the question, we have to fill it with red font. So we choose the font, not filling, then we select the font color to be red. And then you click OK. So the 15 orders will now be in red font. Right, that's the top bottom rules. There is also a type of conditional formatting whereby you have to use greater than or less than. For instance, we want the capacity. When the capacity is more than 1,000, it should be filled with something. So you select it, and conditional formatting, you choose new rule. Now, here we go to the next one. Format only cell that contains. That is where you can choose between or not between or greater than or less than or greater or equals to. So if they say greater or equal to 5,000, you type there, and then you can now format. Maybe you want to put a border around it with a specific border color, and then fill in also with a specific color. So all of them are more than 5,000. Only few are not more than 5,000. That is why it has been selected. There is also another type of conditional formatting, which I believe you are going to appreciate that also. That is color scale. Let's say we want to find conditional formatting with a color scale. We go to new rule, and then we have different scales. That's the first option. That's a 2-color scale, 3-color scale. We also have data bar. We also have icon set, which you can choose different icons. So they can ask you, let's say I want to choose this icon set. And then they said when the first value, the full star, when it's greater or equals to 200,000, and we pick value, which is number, not percentages, because these values are not percentage, they are numbers. And then the next one will be when it's greater or equals to maybe 50,000. Also, don't forget to choose number. Right. Then you click OK. So here we have to adjust the range values greater or equals to that. That means from that one, and if it's between 50,000 and that. So here, let's say, oh, this is 20,000. That is why. So this one should be 5,000. That's why it gave me problem. Right. So you set it. They will give you the conditions, and then all of them will be having the star next to them. We also have other ones like data bars and others, whereby when you select, we have icon set, conditional formatting, new rule, and then we can have color scales, maybe 3-color scale. The lowest value, it could be number. You select the number, the lowest could be maybe 2,000. The second number, the middle number can be maybe 10,000 or 20,000. The question will always specify, and this one will be the maximum to be 500,000. So you can also choose the colors. They can tell you which colors should you choose for the minimum, and which one should it be for the midpoint, and which one should it be for the maximum. So that you can see that these values are all minimum. That is why it's having the green colors. Right, so that's how we apply the color scales also. Now, again, we have conditional formatting that is for above and below average. New rule, and then we choose this one, above or below average. Then you go to format. So all those values that are above average will be highlighted. So that is above or below average conditional formatting. Right. Now, that is all about conditional format. Now we move straight to another spreadsheet feature called data validation. Data validation. Now, I think there should be data validation questions somewhere, which I'm going to pick it up. If there is no data validation question, I will set a question of that nature. So let me check 2023 if there is data validation question. Right. Okay, here was conditional formatting, say less than. So it was easier one. There is no data validation. So I'm going to explain to you what is called a data validation, which is also a spreadsheet feature. Now, let's take, for instance, the provinces are listed here. And now we want to have the provinces. Remember, I'm using the 4 hydroelectric data file. Now, I want to ensure that when I click here, I will be able to select the provinces instead of me to type. So I will select all these values that I want to apply the data validation. And you can get a data validation from data, then you see data validation. Alternatively, you can just go there to search and type validation. Now, because we want options to choose from, we don't choose any value. We select what we call list, because these are the list we want to select. And then you click inside the source, you click on this up arrow, then you select where we are getting that source from, which is these ones. And then you press enter and enter again. Now let's go and check. When you go here and you click on the arrow, it will give you the list of the options for all the provinces, so that we'll be able to select the province from that side. Right, that is the data validation, which involves options, just like spreadsheet, a database called lookup wizard or combo box. Now, there's also another interesting data validation that is, let me remove the freeze pane. There's also another interesting data validation which talks about the validation rule. Let's take, for instance, we want to set a validation rule here so that it will contain only values from 10 and above. So you select again, you go to validation. Then this time, we do not choose any value. We choose whole number. If it has decimals, we choose decimal. So be careful. Now you can see there are some decimals here. Now, the question says we want the value from 10 and above. So we can say greater or equals to 10. We can also have between, not between, on less than or equals to. So here we choose greater or equals to 10. And then okay. Now again, data validation, we can have validation text. When you set the rule, you can go to input message, then you type the validation text. Only values above or from 10 are allowed for the validation text. Then okay. So that to guide you when you are typing the values and it's wrong, it's going to guide you. But not all the values are above 10. This is 2.1, which was already typed. So meaning that we can circle values that are invalid. And then you can get it from data validation also. There is an arrow that says circle invalid data. So it's going to circle all the invalid data for you. 2.1 is invalid. 4 is invalid because we said it should be above 10. But this is 2.1, so it is invalid data. Right. This is invalid because Free State Eastern Cape. And maybe the way the Free State was written, there's something wrong there. But if you choose Free State, then maybe to leave that one. So if you insert and then you want to circle all the invalid data, we use that tool or the feature in the spreadsheet. Right. Now, again, not only values, we can also use text for data validation. Let's say we want to apply data validation here, but this time we say text length. Remember, we have date and other ones also. Text length. Let's say we want only the text length that is between 5 and then 10. So ESCOM is between 5 and 10. So that's why it did not circle. Bethlehem Hydro is more than 10. That's why it has been circled. So we can also use text length for data validation. Right. Then the last spreadsheet feature, which is called the last spreadsheet feature, which we are going to look at, 2024 question paper, and then we call it subtotal. Subtotal. Now, it says work in the volume worksheet, this one. Now, the question says, use the subtotal feature to display the total capacity of all the dams in each province. So here, the key word is total. That means we use the function called sum. So the sum of the capacity of all the province. So meaning we have to group according to province. Sometimes the question will not be clear. It will tell you use a spreadsheet feature. It is still subtotal. Whenever you see for each, or you see group, or you see by, or you also see the keyword pair. So meaning it is a subtotal feature. Now, how do we deal with subtotal? To deal with subtotal, the first thing is to sort your data, including the headings. Now, which one are we sorting according to? So you go to sort and filter and choose custom sort. How would you know which one are you supposed to sort according to? Because of this, for each or group by. So meaning we are sorting according to province. And I think this data was already sorted for us according to province A to Z. Now, when you are done sorting, the next one to go to subtotal, which you get it from data, and then you see subtotal. You click on it, then it says at each change in. At each change in, you pick the column you sorted according to. So here we sorted according to column B, which is province. We choose that one. Now, which function are we using? Because the question says sum or the total, we have to use the function called sum. If the question says the average capacity, then we have to choose average. And then the question says the total capacity, meaning add totals to, we choose capacity, not the depth. Then these three is very important. If you want to put page break in between, that means every group like Eastern Cape will be on its own page. Then you take this one, page break between groups. If you want the total to be on top, you remove this one, summary below data, so that the totals will be on top of each. So now you can see Eastern Cape total, and then you see the total for Eastern Cape. Then when you scroll down, Free State total, then to add all the Free State values here. Now, sometimes they can give you a screenshot like this. How will you determine that? You might check where they have the function next to it. Now you see here, it is total. if it was average, let me go back. So if I chose average, it's going to give me Eastern Cape average. So meaning when you see a screenshot, check the function that they use. Which one did they sort according to? That's the one that they see. You see the function name next to it. And which one did they do the calculation according to? If you check row 4, you realize that only value is under the capacity. That means they did it according to the capacity. There's no value here. If you come here also, the values are only this side. Right. That one can also guide you whenever you are dealing with subtotal features. Right. So we are done with subtotal. I am going to move to calculations. Right. Now, we move straight to the actual calculations. And then we will also check graphs. Don't forget to bring your questions. If you have any question, can this lesson be downloaded? Yes. When the life is over, you can get access to it. I will group them. I will separate spreadsheet from database and HTML also. Right. Let's move straight to calculations. Now, what are some of the calculations that you should know? Because now we are done with all the spreadsheet features, including autofill, free space, and others. Data validation, conditional formatting, subtotal. We didn't do graphs here. That will be the last one. Now let's move straight to calculations. The first calculation, the question says, use a function in L3 to determine the number of terms in the list. Now, when you see number, it means count. Or if you see total number, it is also count. So total number, or you see number, we use count function. Now, it says in L3, here is L3. Now the question says you must find the number, the total number of the terms. So we use count. Now, count is only applicable for numbers. So if you want to count the text, let's say the term names, then we have to use count A. Now I'm going to show you something. If I say equals to count, and then I select column A values, and then enter. Now you realize that it's going to give me 0. Why is it giving me 0? Because I am counting text. These are names, they are not numbers. So when you do that and it's giving an error of 0, that means you use wrong. It's supposed to be count A. So you go to formula bar, then you just add A, which is count A, and then enter. So we got 145. So the right function was supposed to be counter, not count. Count is only for numbers, right, or numerical values. The next one in L5, to determine the capacity of the dam with the second highest capacity. Second highest. Whenever you are dealing with the highest or the largest, and they are talking about the second, we use large. You cannot use max. Max is for the largest value. Now, if you want the second highest, the third largest, or the fourth largest, you have to use large function. So let's move straight to L5. So we use large function. Equal sign, large. You double click on FX. Go to the formula bar and click on FX again. Now, the array, which is the column, you must select. And they are talking about the capacity. So you select the values in column F. And then K, because they are talking about the second largest, so the K will be 2. Then you click OK. That will be the second largest value. Now, if they want the third largest, then K is going to be 3. Right. Let's move on to the next calculation. Use a function to determine which depth appears the most in column H. That's most frequently occurring, which is mode. So when you see most, then we use the function called mode. So let's go to L7, equal sign, mode. Then you click on FX. Now the question says we should use column H. So the mode is 38. Let me 38 appears most over here. Right. The next question. Use a function to determine the total capacity of all the dams in Gauteng, column C. That means we are finding the total capacity for all the dams in Gauteng, which is column C. Now, whenever you see total without the number, then it is sum. But here we are dealing with sum with condition, which is sum ifs or sum if. So you can use either sum ifs or you can use sum if. Right. So let me stick to sum ifs. So sum ifs, regardless of the number of condition, you can still get the answer properly. So equal sign, sum ifs, or you can use sum if because the condition is 1. Now the sum range, because the question says the total capacity, so the sum range will be the capacity column. You select the values for capacity. And then the criteria range 1, it says for all those in Gauteng, which is column C. So the criteria range 1 will be column C, where we find the provinces. And then again, criteria. The question says we are looking for Gauteng. You can type Gauteng in full, or you can say star GAU star. Pick the first 3 characters, which we call the wild card. You pick the first 3 characters, GAU, then you put a star before and star after. So you just put star for Gauteng, star GAU star. That means contain letter GAU. So it's better you pick the first 3 letters, you put a star before and star after. It will solve all kinds of problems for you when it involves text. Right, if let's say we're looking for Free State, we will just say star FRE star, which will calculate for Free State for us. Good. Now, we move on to the next question. This conditional formatting, we did it already. Subtotal also, we did it. Now, let's check other questions if we can find, that is 2023 question paper, if we can find other type of calculation. So remember, when you are dealing with large, the largest, we use large. If you are looking for small, let's say they are looking for the second or the third smallest capacity, we use small. And then you select the capacity values. So the third smallest value, you type 3 and then OK. Right. So you must know large, for it can be the largest or the second largest or the third largest. If it's largest, you put 1 as the value for K. Right. Now, we have count ifs. Count if is also similar to sum if. Let's say we want to find all those from KZN and then they chose the Seine River. So we use count ifs. So to be equal sign, count ifs, you click on FX, and then the criteria range 1, you select the provinces. Whenever you see range, it means you must select criteria, we are looking for, let's say we are looking for Limpopo. So you say star LIM star. Or you can put the 4 of them, LIMP star. And a criteria range 2, we select all the river to them. And then the criteria, we are looking for send river. So star SAND star. That means it contains the word send. Now, it means we might not get Limpopo that has the send river. Now, let's check Free State that might have. So here we say star FRE star. So we got one. There's one Free State that has send river. Right. So that is how we use the sum ifs. Now, another interesting type of question that you must also watch out for is how to use average, how to calculate average, and then you round it. Let's say we want to calculate average capacity, and then we round it to 2 decimal place. So it's better you make use of the building block, or you put the first answer next to it. So equal sign average. Then you click on FX. So the number, you select all the values under the capacity. So we got this average. Now, if the question says round it to 2 decimal place, then you go to where you must put the answer equals to round. You click on FX, and then you click on the number that you have for average. Then the number of decimal place, you put it there, maybe 2. Because this one was formatted as 0, that's why you see like that. Right. So now we have the 2 decimal place. So that's how we do average, and then you run it to a certain decimal place. Now, again, still under this type of calculations that you must know is range between. Now, let's say we want to find or do calculations here. And I like that type of question. There was a question like that for grade 12 question paper. Now, they brought range between question. Let's say we are going to increase each dem value here by 10. In other words, when the dem value is 1, we add 10 to it. When it is 2, we add, it will be 20. So let's say we want to have the range between. So we use equal sign range between. Now we want to have range between from 0 up until 10. Now, after every value, then we need to multiply by 10 or maybe 15. So you go back to the formula, and then when it gives you this, you go there and say times 10. So meaning if it is 1, it will multiply by 10. If it is, you double click, it keeps on multiplying by 10. Right. So that's how range between works. They can ask you a complex one also to range between the values. Right. That's range between random numbers, generating random numbers between 2 different values. Now, one interesting type of question is to percentage increase and percentage decrease. And I think there's a similar question for 2023 question paper. Let's take a look at this. Now, 3.2, it says the learners in each class are divided into 3 categories: helper, audience, and performance, as indicated in D, E, and F. The class size, that is the sum of the numbers in 3 categories, are stored in column G. So let's look at it. These are the numbers. And then insert a formula in D5. Here is D5. Right. To determine the number of helpers in 8A. So here's 8A. Now you want the number. And then they are saying that this is the class size. And they are divided into 3 categories. The class size, which is the sum, in 3 categories are stored in column G. So this is the sum in column G. So meaning this plus that must give you 27. Like here, 21 plus 9 plus 1 will give you 31. Now they want to find this one. So it's just like putting a formula. So it means that the value here will now be equals to, you open bracket, that will be this 27 minus the performer value minus the audience value. Then you close bracket. So this should be 3. So you know when you add 3 to 18, which is going to give us 21 plus 6, which will be 27. The next question, insert a function, insert D26 to determine the total number of learners in the audience. Now the total number of learners in column E. We need to find the total number of audience. Now, if you see total plus number, but because these are values, they are audience values, so the total number will use sum. Other than that, if it was text, we're going to use the function called count. So here we use sum, and we select all the audience values here. Now, if it says the average class size, then we use average function, like what this question said. Insert a function in D27 to calculate the average class size. Round it to ensure that it is in the whole number, no decimal place. So we need to calculate the average class size. Like I said, you need to calculate it next to it, which is equals to average. And then you select all the class size values. So we have the answer here. But they said there shouldn't be any decimal place. So we can round it to 0 decimal place, or we can use the int function, equal sign int, which is integer. Then you click on this answer. It's going to take out the integer function part of this one. Or you can use round, and then you round this one to 0 decimal place. Right, so that's how we answer that part of the question. Now, here they are saying the amount for each member of audience is paid is stored in E4, and then the amount which a sponsor agreed to pay of each is stored in F4. Insert a formula in H10 to calculate the total amount collected from class 9B. The formula must be able to be copied to other relevant cells in the column. without manual adjustment. Now, they want here the amount. And then they are saying F4 has the performer, and then E4 has the audience. So these are the amounts. Now, they want you to find the total here. That means is this multiplied by that, plus this 10 multiplied by that, plus this one multiplied by that. But because we are going to drag down, we have to give each of these names. So you right click and choose define name. We can give this name as A. You right click here, define name, you give it a name as B. And this one, you can right click and give it a name as D. Remember, C is also reserved. It will not work. So here is A. When I click on it, you see A written here. If you click here, B. This one is named as D. So we are going to do the calculation inside this space. That is equals to the value for A times this value here, the number, plus the value for B times this value, plus the value for D times that value, and then you press enter. So if you drag down, it's going to work because we have given this one names. If you don't give them names, it's not going to work. It's going to give you wrong answer because it is going to be relative reference, not absolute reference. Right. Now, if statement, classes that collected more than 250 are eligible for a special award. Insert a function in cell I-15 that the text yes is displayed if the class is 10C is eligible for an award and no if it is not eligible. Now, the condition is this one. This is if statement. So here you can use if or you can use ifs. Depending on your school, if you have ifs, you can use it also. Now, the question says, the message yes should be displayed if the amount collected in column H is more than 250. So we are going to put the answer here. So you press equal sign if, double click on FX next to if, and then you go to FX. Now the logical text, this is the amount, you click on it. When H5 is greater than 250, then the value if true, they say we must put yes. The value if false should be no. So here we got yes. Alternatively, we could have also used ifs. So the first logical text, if H15 is greater than 250, then we put yes. Logical text 2, H15 is less than or equals to 250, then we put no. So you can use ifs also to get the same answer. Right. So take note when you are dealing with if statement, when the conditions are 3, you have to use 2 if statement. If the conditions are 2, you have to use only 1 if statement. And you know, in grade 11, we deal with a single if statement, not a nested if statement. So you always be given at least 2 conditions or maybe 2 conditions. Let's see if 2024 also got if statement. Let's check if there's if statement in 2024. Yeah, there is it. 2024. 4.3. So let me open for hydro. And according to the question, we must insert the formula in G3 here. Right, now what's the condition? It says use a formula in cell G3 to display the name of the power plant in column A that generate more than the average of the installed capacity in column C. If the hydro plant does not generate more than the average, then the star must be there. So here, there are two conditions. And here are the two conditions. The question says, display this message at the power plant name. If the one that they have generated, which is column C, the capacity. If the capacity generated here is more than, if that they generate more than the average of the installed. So meaning if the capacity here, this value is more than the average of this one, then we must put the name. Otherwise, you put asterisk or the star. Now, let's check. So meaning we have to first calculate the average in the building block. We have to calculate the average in the building block. So you go to building block. Building block here has been created for you to solve questions step by step. So we start with the average. So average of the values in column C. We got 423. So we are comparing each value here with the average. So because we are comparing with this average, we have to give it a name. You can double click, you right click and choose define name. We can give it a name as A. Anytime you are comparing a group of values with one particular value, you need to give it a name. So here we go and use our if statement, equal sign if. Now the logical test says when the value for the installed, which is C3, is more than, which is greater than the value of for the average, which we name it as A, then we must display the value if true. We have to display the name, which is A3. Otherwise, we must put asterisk. And then you click OK. So here we got asterisk because this 42 is not more than this average. Now, when you drag down, some of them got asterisk, some of them also got a name. This one is getting the name because the value here is 1,000, which is more than the average. And that's why it displayed the name. So this question, we needed to solve it step by step. First of all, create the average. Then you now compare it with the values given to you. This is a complex question. That's why the total mark was 8. They wanted you to solve it step by step. Right. Now, there are times that you can get questions whereby they want you to just do a calculation by increasing the values. Like this one here, they are talking about other calculations like the number of learners who perform only salaries. So now, these are number with a condition which is count if. Determine how many participated in more than one item, which is count if also greater than 1. So here we need to use the count if function. Now this is called the subtotal. This is a subtotal question. So we can also look at these questions. So basically, These are the things that are needed regarding your spreadsheet, the count ifs, the sum ifs, and others. Now, 3.13. This is grade 11 worksheet. Now, according to the question, learners who took part only as a solo act. Now, here are the solo act. The solo act is the one that is tick. Only that one. So we want to count only where there's a tick. So we cannot use count. So here we have to use counter. And then you select. So we got 6. So counter deals with when it is a text. Here, additional choir members needed up to 20. And the learners who took part in more than one item. That means those who took part in more than one. Use count if. These are the items given to you here. So those who took more than one item. That means this one used more than one item. You have to count. So this type of question, you needed to break them down and count them here. You needed to count them from these items. So after that, then you can now count those who took more than one, which is count if. Then you select your values here. And then criteria greater than 1. So those who took more than 1, they are 14. So you must always check. Now here they are talking about grade 11s also, and maybe grade 11C or any other. Use count ifs. Now, one interesting thing that we are going to wrap up is percentage increase and discounted prices. Percentage increase. Let's say we are increasing the capacity by 15%. We are increasing each capacity value by 15%. So with this, you press equal sign, you open bracket. The original percentage is 100%. So it's 100 plus that 15 that they are increasing with. Then you put a percentage symbol times the value given to you here. So this value, if you increase by 15%, you are going to get that. Right. If you are to decrease this one by 50%, then it's going to be equals to, you click this value. Now you open bracket, 100 minus 15, you close bracket, then you put the percentage. Discount, meaning that you subtract from 100%. Increase, you add, times the value given to you here. So this is decreased by 15%. This is increased by 15%. So to decrease, you subtract that percentage given from 100, then you put a percentage symbol times the value you are increasing. Decrease, you add it to 100, and then you put a percentage, then you multiply. So that's the percentage increase, VAT inclusive and VAT exclusive. Right, so we are done with the spreadsheet. The last part, I think, before I forget, the last part will be, graphs. Now, I see some graphs here. Work in the chart worksheet. This is the chart worksheet. I'm not sure which one is this. For hydro, yes. So the chart worksheet. Now they created a chart. Then according to the question, the chart must have a descriptive title. That means we have to put a title. To put a title, you click on the chart element, then you take title. The chart title. Then you can put a title there. I think here the title, you have to check what the title is. But then we have to check the data. They didn't tell us what the title should be. So we have to check the data. You right click and choose select data. Now this is the data that they use. You see, they are the provinces, and I think it's the total installment per province. Yes, it's the total installment per province. So that you can now type it. Right. Again, they can tell you to put the exit titles, you change them. Now they must have values. To have the values, you click on the chart element, then you see data labels so that you can have the values. If they want the values to be on top, you go to the right arrow, then you go to more options. Then you'll be able to choose how you want to place them. Now, these are the values we want. They can even ask you to pick the cell, the data labels. You can take them to be outer, or you go to that data labels and then choose the data callout to be on top, or you can just take them to the top. Right. One thing that you must also know, let's finish the question, then I'll show you other things. All data series must automatically display in different color. Now they want this one to display in different color. These are the data series. You click on one of them, it will select all of them for you. And then you right click and choose format data series. Remember to also look out for this one, the column shape. They can tell you to choose different shapes. And then you go to fill, and then you choose vary colors by point so that they'll have different colors. That's the feature we use to change the colors by point. And then the chart must display as object in the hydro worksheet. So we want this one to be as object in the hydro worksheet. So we need to move this chart. When you click on the chart, you will see format and then the chart design. Then from chart design, you see move chart. Then as object in hydro worksheet, you click on it so that the chart will now move to hydro worksheet. Let's do again. So that to move to hydro worksheet. Right. Now, regarding the chart, there are several things that you can also do. Let's say these names here, the provinces, they want you to change them. You select them, you right click, and then you see format axis. And then you can now change the axis. You will find here, we have the axis options, whereby you can also change the categories in reverse order to change them. That means here the Western Cape will be first, and then it goes to Eastern Cape. Then we have the labels. The labels, you can choose the label position to high. Maybe you want it to be on top. And then the distance, you can also set it. Then again, we also have the number from the labels, which you can change the number that are given to you. Then when you come to this one, the alignment, the second one, then you can change the alignment, maybe rotate up or rotate down. So they can ask you to change them. Right. And then also, they can ask you to change this one, maybe to thousands. You right click and choose format axis. And then you can now change it, maybe display unit to hundreds. You just right click any of the options that you want to do. If you want to fill the space, you right click and you see fill. Let's say you want to fill with a picture or any gradient style. Again, there are other things that you can also do. They can ask you so many questions regarding this. Maybe you are filling only this part. You double click so that to select only that one, you right click and choose fill. Let's say you want to fill only that part with a picture. Then you can select the picture that you want to fill with. Right. So basically, that is all about chart. You can even have a chart, then they will tell you to change this chart to maybe pie chart. You right click and say, you right click on the chart, and then you choose what we call change chart type, so that we can change the chart type to, let's say, to pie chart. So that's how we change the chart type. Now, what if they want the series name to also be there? To pull out the largest one, you double click on the largest one, then you pull it out. So we can also rotate this. You right click and choose format data point. Then you see gap and then the rotation, the gap position. You can change the gap position and the gap width also. You can also have, if it's 3D, you can now rotate them. So you must watch out for some of these things. If you want, you right click and then you see whatever that you want to change. Right. Let's say the pictures also you want it to be stacked, not stretched. You choose stack so that the pictures will be stacked inside it. Now that's all about graphs. You must watch out for some of these things, how to select data and how to move and how to change the data series. Legend, you can also be given a question to change the legend to, let's say, right or left. And then you change the legend. Right, so that is all about spreadsheet. Right, now let's move quickly to database. So spreadsheet, we have covered almost every aspect regarding spreadsheet. The VAT inclusive discount and others. Today's date, we use today, now, and then all these functions. Now we are moving quickly to database. Database, I don't think I will spend much time there. I'll pick one question and then I'll be able to explain the aspect, what you need to do regarding database. And HTML will be the one that we will finalize with, which will be also easier. So database, I am going to use 2020 question paper, 5 provinces. Now, I know most of the grade 11th, you have issues with database. So please, that's why I'm starting today, so that you have enough time to watch over this, and then you'll be able to practice more. Now, the question says we have to open TBL 5_1.